Hello, welcome, beautiful people, to another episode of the Art Heals podcast. Today, with the amazing sound artist Kofi Masdammer. Hi, Kofi.
Good day, good day, good day. Nice to be with you. Nice to see you.
Yes. So, I know a bit of what you do, but not our audience. So please tell us about your story, where you come from, what's your background, and how did you come to arts?
Okay, so my name's Kofi, and I also go by the name KJM Scrolls, and I started off my journey with art, with music, and I used to play the cello, and for a very long time, I didn't really associate sound or music with art, and through developing my relationship with music, with sound, with playing instruments, I came to the realization that actually it should be something that's considered as art, just as much as visual art is considered art. So when I was playing in cello, I felt the vibrations on my body because when you play the cello, it needs to be on you like this. And when I used to play the cello, I used to feel the vibrations travel through my whole body, and it made me conscious and it made me aware of how sound, or more particularly vibration, affects our state of being, our consciousness, and how we experience reality. And so through this, I developed my relationship with sound, with music, further and further. And I went through playing different instruments to actually come into the realization that there is something more profound and something deeper to what we are actually calling art and calling sound. And so I began my journey with sound healing.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in need of healing in one way or another. And so that profound realization led me into sound healing through my compassion towards that. And sound healing was a perfect bridge between music or using instruments and healing people and being of benefit to other people. And so I did a lot of years studying what sound really is. I went to university and I got a Bachelor's of Science in Sound Engineering. And so
Mm-hmm.
I spent a lot of time studying myself, studying the autonomy of human being. I started to go deeper into how sound and vibration affects us. And that's what really led me into sound healing. And it led me into also recognizing how much I could benefit people with sound healing. And in saying so, art is essentially the same thing. Visual art is the same thing because when you are actually creating, say, for example, an image and a portrait, painting, or even a digital piece of art, it actually conveys something. And so it carries a message from one person to the next, just like how the sound carries a message from one place to the next, just like how music carries a message from one place to the next. And so I started to actually see that sound and light is interchangeable, which means that essentially they can be perceived as the same because
Mm.
we use visual art to convey a message, and that message can be received through the sound within our own mind. And a lot of studies have gone into how we can actually materialize sound, how we can make sound into physical visual images. And so in all of this, it showed me that art is really about expression and communication also. And I feel like music is that, sound is that, and 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 art is also that. So that's how I came into sound healing and how I came into art, visual art, and sound.
Yeah,
sonic
that's
art as
very
well.
profound. I mean, sound is healing, right? But not every sound, I guess.
Yeah, true,
So
very
can you
true.
tell us more? How does this work? How does this affect our body when you play certain sounds or when you do your sessions?
Okay. Well, everything is vibration and sound frequency, and everything carries its own resonant frequency. And therefore, that means our bodies are sound, vibration, resonant frequency. And in that, we also have the information that our body is 70% water. And we know through
Yes.
things like dolphins, different animals show us that sound actually has the ability to travel through water. And it does so in a profound way. So much so that if you actually have a container and you put water in the container and you produce sound within that container, the water will actually start to take forms and start to create shapes and start to create ripples. And that is because actually sound has an effect on physical matter, because physical matter is sound. So therefore, our bodies, our cells, even our thoughts and our ideas, our own concepts, in one way, in one form or another, they are vibrations, ripples in our own consciousness and in the consciousness of reality. So therefore, we can actually use sound to heal, because sound can be used to retune our bioelectric field and also retune our cellular field as well, because it's all essentially vibration. And so we can retune ourselves through using sound. And so therefore we can heal ourselves. A lot of the time when people have illness or they have sickness, it's because something within their body is misaligned or out of tune, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we use the frequencies, the sound frequencies, we can actually negate that and bring balance by retuning, and we
Mm-hmm.
re, we,
And
we
which
retune the.
which kind of sound frequencies are good for healing, or what do you use?
So you can actually look up on the internet different frequencies, different healing frequencies and their purpose and properties, and it will bring up a big list, and it will actually show you what organs the frequencies are good for, uh, what aspects of your nervous system, what aspects of your uh, cellular system, what aspect of your uh, mental processes it can be tailored to, and it can help and it can aid. Off my head, there are hertz like 555 hertz, and 555 hertz are pure tones. It's a pure tone, and that sound is actually good for clarity, bringing clarity, and
Mm.
also um, sharpening your own intuition too.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
does this work even if you're not aware of it, or even if you don't believe it? How is your experience?
Yeah, it definitely works, whether you're conscious of it or not. And that's because, like I said, everything is vibration. And so there's a resonant frequency that actually corresponds to your body. And so if you're in sleep, if you're asleep, for example, and you get hertz and you play it in your earphones or you play it through speakers, it will actually have a profound effect on you, even though you're sleeping. There have been many times in my sound healing sessions, people sometimes drift away into
Mm.
the far depths of their own consciousness, and it's almost sleep-like, but they're going into gamma brainwave states, they're going into beta brainwave states, and so therefore, when they go into these states, which are semi-conscious, unconscious, conscious states, the vibrations are still having a profound effect on them. And even after
Mm.
the session, they recall how much the relaxation of it, of the sound frequencies, actually allow them to heal and allow them to come into a greater
Hmm.
stillness within their mind, within their emotions, within their body.
And you just mentioned different brain waves. I'm not sure the audience is familiar with this. Maybe you can explain a bit How does this work, and which effects can have sound on these different brain waves or states of consciousness?
Okay, so we have many different what's called brainwave states, and this is purely due to frequency. If our brain is has a fast resonant frequency, then we would have, for example, gamma. I believe this is correct. Uh, brainwave states. But when we go into slower brainwave states, actually, I'm not sure that that's correct. But the different brainwave states correspond to the different uh, states of consciousness. You could be in a fully conscious state, and that state is an alpha brainwave state. You could be in a conscious, semi-conscious state, which is the beta. You could be in a unconscious state, which goes into gamma and goes into different brainwave states. And so what the sound does is the sound allows us to be able to go into different brainwave states through aligning, through attuning our own brainwave states to those frequencies, which, as said, actually allow us to enter those states naturally. We can enter those states through meditation. We can enter those
Mm.
states through flow state during not necessarily sport, but exercise, for example, or when we're doing art as well. We also enter different brainwave states.
Yes, yes, and I think the state of your consciousness and this brainwave then affects back the body and can like enhance healing. Like if you're always in the stress mode, of course, that lowers your vibration, your frequency, and
Exactly.
then if this happens like for a longer time, then of course you will start to have symptoms in your body, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And can you tell us more about yeah, how the sound um, does work together with the body, and which effect it has in healing, and also how this can help transform the world in general?
Okay. That's a big one. That's a really
Yes.
big one. So to summarize how sound works with the body and how it works to heal the body, everything is ultimately vibration, just different forms of vibration, different states of vibration. And this is from our thoughts down to very the very material things we see before us. Everything is constantly vibrating and carries its own resonant frequency. So this includes our body. And because our body has this resonant frequency itself, and it's also 70% water, the vibrations in our environment has an effect on our body, which is also a vibratory field. So we can actually use harmonic resonance. We can actually use the sounds. We can use the pure tones, the frequencies, the instruments to match and to retune certain aspects of our vibratory field and our vibratory being. And with that, we can actually retune organs, retune cells, retune brain states. And this will, and retune the nervous system, because earlier you spoke about stress, and a lot of people are stressed and overwhelmed with work or just society in general. And that has a knock-on effect on the nervous system. And so we can use sound to actually retune the nervous system. And with that, bring and deliver healing to everybody, because we're all vibratory fields. So this isn't something exclusive to one person or to another person. It's something that's available to everybody. And so with that,
Mm.
it can actually have an effect on all sentient beings. It can have an effect on the wider reality. It can have an effect on the humans, the animals, the insects, the birds. Can have an effect on everything, because everything is interconnected. And therefore, if one person receives healing, they're in a state where they can heal somebody else. And if they're in a state of healing, they have the ability to heal somebody else. If somebody
Mm-hmm.
else is in a state of wisdom, they can deliver wisdom for somebody else. If they're in a state of calm, they can bring calm for somebody else. And so, therefore, this has a direct effect and a knock on effect on everything around us because we are
Yes,
ultimately
what I hear
interconnected.
from this is like creating harmony, harmonizing
Exactly.
the mind and the body.
Exactly. And then ultimately harmonizing with everything around us.
Yes, because everything is interconnected.
Exactly.
So we have here a tradition, Kofi, with characterizing your art with a word. And the former guest before you leaves a word.
Hmm.
So in this case, it is unity.
Right.
And tell us, um, how do you associate unity with your art and the sound healing that you do?
Right. That's a beautiful question. Unity is everything, and everything is unity. Everything is unified within a unified field of reality, within a unified field of consciousness, within the unified field of love. And so, therefore, everything is ultimately unified. Now, if everything is ultimately unified, that means that unity is the natural state of our being. But we see throughout society that things are not so unified in the relative sense. And because of that, we have to actually work towards consciously unifying, consciously unifying ourselves, consciously unifying with our environment. And therefore, that cultivates a relationship, not any relationship, it cultivates a loving relationship with one another, with our environment, and with the grand reality of all things. And so, therefore, like I mentioned earlier, we use sound, we use light to convey something, to send a message. And so we use music and we use art to convey and to relay and send a message and communicate things. And so, with that being said, that is a part of the unity because we are unified through sound and we are unified through light. So, when we are relaying things to each other and communicating things through sound and through light, we're actually operating through unity. We're operating through unity. And so that's the
Mm,
actual significance of unity within art.
wow, that's so profound. I'm just wondering how could, because you're right now in London, right? And people
Yeah.
there are very stressed, you know. I mean, it's a big city, they have always something to do. How could we um like bring this to the people, this message, or help them harmonize and unify or connect to this unified field?
That's a very big question. And the reason why that's a very big question is because we have, like you said, been actually confined to this system of work, life, society, and all the things that come with it. And so within that, it creates a stress, it creates a pressure on our being. And whether it be
Mm,
a mental pressure, whether it be a physical pressure, whether it be whatever pressure it could be, it does create a pressure. And now, therefore, everybody is actually in need of, like you said, this message. Everybody is in need of the love. Everybody is in need of the unity. Everybody is in need of harmonizing. However, the uncomfortable truth is that not everybody is so accepting of this. But for those who
mm,
are, I would say the key to bringing this into our reality right now is through unlocking ourselves. And when I say unlocking ourselves, I mean dissolving all the things that have kept us entrapped within our own mind, dissolving all the things that have kept us entrapped within our own thought patterns, dissolving all the things that have kept us entrapped in our old behavior patterns. And so, therefore, when we unlock ourselves, we unblock we unblock certain aspects of ourselves, because ultimately we have been put under so much pressure that the pressure creates a blockage,
Mm.
and that blockage shows up in our mind, the blockage shows up in our body, and the blockage can show up in many different aspects within our being, and the blockage can even manifest as disease sometimes. So therefore, it's important for people to recognize that there is something to be done, and that we can't keep going about life thinking it's okay and ignoring the ultimate truth, which is that we need to come back, or we need to return to a conscious state of unity, a conscious state of love, and a conscious state of communication. And that is the ultimate significance of it. You know, we have to unlock ourselves, and it's only through unlocking ourselves can we then consciously come into love, consciously come into communication, consciously come into unity. Because otherwise, it would be
Yes, I
difficult.
think there's still so much to do, right? For
Yeah,
reaching as many people as possible to
exactly.
help them open up and connect through art.
Hmm.
And yeah, maybe even practicing themselves some sound healing
Yes.
can be definitely helpful. Or
Yes.
maybe we should just play all over London sound healing.
That would be a good option, actually, because a lot of the time we're getting cars going past, trains flying past, airplanes flying past, and it actually creates a disturbance for some people, and that disturbance can be overstimulating, but it can be so overstimulating in a subtle way, someone might not realize it. But because this overstimulation is taking place over an accumulated amount of time, it can actually manifest, solidify, and condense itself within the person's being, you
Mm,
know? So I think there should be more of an effort to be playing sounds that are peaceful, sounds that create joyful states of mind, sounds that create unified states of mind. You know, 'cause especially with the
yes.
music, a lot of the music these days, unfortunately, we can't find a lot of music that's about that, especially in the new age and with the new, music that's coming up and what some of the young people are listening to. I feel like there needs to be a balance. There definitely needs to be a balance.
Mm. But we
Mm.
have also to accept that some people are just not open and we can't reach them and
Exactly.
they just need to go their part, right? So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
those that are accessible, we can work with them,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
that's already a great thing
Right.
to do that. So tell
Mm.
us, Kofi, if you would have to tell us one word that is that expresses your art, which word do you choose? Kofi?
Yes. Sorry, I'm thinking. I'm
Ah,
thinking.
okay.
One word. Um, it's very difficult. Hmm. I would say universal. That's what I would say.
Universal. I
Yeah.
love that word.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass this word to the next guest, but tell us,
Okay.
what do you associate with it?
With universal,
Yes.
I associate universal with all encompassing, and that means that it's not confined to one thing, or it's not confined to uh, one idea or one concept. It encompasses all concepts, and it encompasses all uh, forms and all appearances and all phenomena. So therefore, universal means all encompassing, and it also means unity, and it also means love also, and I feel like
Yes,
that's important. That's very important.
definitely, definitely. So, which consideration can you give to our guests to reach that love in them?
I would say it goes back to that old saying, know thyself. And when you know
Mm.
thyself, you can greater be able to you can be able to know others even more. And it's through knowing yourself you can love yourself. And through loving yourself you can love others. Because if you don't love yourself, how are you to know what love is for you to then give that and share that with somebody else? So I feel
Mm.
like it starts with self-love and then everything just unfolds after that.
Wow, that's a beautiful closing word. It couldn't be better.